use the drama. So the next step after the story, which was, the most important question was, in the case of the story, is it exciting or not? And the drama is really important. We can understand the characters in the drama or not. We can be closer to them, to the individuals or not. So it is the empathy that is really important. And through this empathy, we can achieve the community as well. So, and the theater, the last step of this, I think, what is the new after story and drama? Of course, the stage and the present time. So, and the real, so to be in a real connection, it is interaction, but interaction can happen not just in the case of the very contemporary form. So when the actors and audience can be together on the stage or to be together in the auditorium. So the theater has an interaction aspect without any type of direct interaction. So if there is a present time acting, so you will feel this kind of interaction, of course, because it's very direct. I can see how you listen to me, I can see you. So it's working without any direct contemporary action. But of course, our aim, when we are here in this conference, we try to find something deeper and more evident interaction. But it can work without this kind of tools or something. Can you follow me? Because sometimes I feel maybe it's not so big. It's clear. You can understand. Okay. Thank you. So through this interaction, we can feel a catharsis. I think this really important aspect, catharsis can happen because of this interaction, because of this present time. So it's very direct link to the catharsis. So we can feel it. We can meet with this because of this life. So after this, there is something what is important in the theater is, there is a stage, there is a characters. In each characters has own statement, and there is a set of relations among them, and it's happening in the present time. And in this, you see it is like a machine. So there is an audience, and between audience and the drama on the stage, it can have the interaction can work, and what can happen after this catharsis. Now what is interesting, if you talk about this machine, how the theater pedagogy can work. Theater pedagogy is very close to this. Maybe you know this kind of game. Can you find the difference between the two pictures? So what is the difference? So the difference is very simple. So we can change the position. So where we saw characters before on the stage, now audience is there. So audience means the individual and can mean a community as well. So on the stage we can see the people who has own statements, or communities have own statements. They are in this relation in the present time. There is an interaction, and it's interesting. They can see themselves. So in this action, and through the interaction we achieve not catharsis, or somehow the catharsis, but what is more important, the reflection on this whole movement, whole process. So because of this, I think, so it is what theater pedagogy can do. And of course, when you say this machine, so you can think, of course, it's political. It can be a political process when the individuals or communities, the ordinary individuals and communities can communicate to each other, and they can, it's the first step, so can share to each other their own experiences and statements. It is the first step. The second step, they can reflect on this kind of communication. So it's a really important process. And because of this, I think that the theater pedagogy can be a science of reflection. So, and it is a moment when I can say what means theater pedagogy for me, especially, is everything, every kind of pedagogical and art process when we can use the tools of theaters to the communication with the audience, spectators, students, and so on. So for me, it is the bigger for me. So it's I use it for, because it's so big. So and it's enough to involve all of the other parts of this kind of pedagogical and art directions. So and theater, I use theater, not drama, because in the theater there is something what is a little bit different than the drama, but it's really important, the acting, the chance of the acting, to be in the present time and act and play with each other. So it is why, for me, it's more clear to use the theater pedagogy for this kind of activities. So after this, it's just about this kind of method. So at the beginning, there is an audience or the students, if you talk about the pedagogical aspect. Character, so the audience and student can be in a character. So character means the student, audience, the participant can write this character, can find out this kind of character, and character can be in the drama. Through this way, we can build the actor who is in the story, the drama. And actor means something what is really important, acting and reflecting. So through this way, we can achieve this kind of special attitude when we can act and when we can reflect on acting at the same time. And it's really important to use this category participant. So participant is audience, and participant can be audience and student as well. So to be together, to play together, to feel, and because I talk about the political aspect, the participant has right to decide, has right to change the direction of the game. So the participant is very high level human being, I think. So through this way we can achieve the social personality who can understand the circumstances. If we use this method, we can achieve this kind of people who can communicate to each other. So the social political aspect. In this case, when I use these categories, I talk about Europe. I talk about the continent where we can find democracies, theoretically. So, but it's Europe. So when I talk about this, just I want to, I think it's really important to say. So in Europe, the citizens in Europe, for me, it's two different types of people. One is the passive voter and active citizen. So active citizen who, you remember, who use this kind of attitudes to take decision, to responsible for the decision, to want to be a participant in the different actions, who understand this method, who use this method, and so on. Passive voter who, like an empty shape, is just ready for the election. So to vote, and after to say, okay, I finished, and it was me, and after 4 years long, I don't want to be in the community, in the society too much. So the question is how we can achieve this active citizen, what happened, why we can talk about this kind of type of citizen. It's a progress, it is a result of a progress through the year hundreds, of course. Science, enlightenment, republic, modernity, transparency, network, these kind of categories can show how we can achieve this possibility when we can talk about community, participatory democracy, and theater pedagogy as well. And the other side of this picture, you can see obstacles. What kind of obstacles can make this kind of shape, this kind of figure, this passive voter. So it's really important is the question of the power, and when I talk about democracy, so it's really important the government, the effect of the governance on this person, social and cultural environment, and of course the psyche, what is the result of this kind of pressure in the society. So it is a two type of person in the democracy, and something what is it's really important to say. We talk about if I talk about Europe and talk about democracy, but in some democracies there is a big lack of availability and application. So it's very heavy to know to find the way to this kind of method, the democratical method, to the protocol of democracy or something, to use the chance of democracy. So it's very difficult to achieve, to learn this kind of way, and it's very and the other problem is if there is a chance to use. There is, because the citizens know about this method, it's very difficult to use this method because of the governments, because of the system of the some of democracy. So there is a statement of me, is participatory democracy doesn't exist, or if it were to exist, we wouldn't be able to use it. So it is some countries, so, but I talk about Europe. So it's very complicated to understand and use this kind of chance, and but in Europe there is a chance for this method to use to achieve this chance. So it is theater pedagogy, what is like a mental training kind of thing. And of course, I don't want to talk too much about this history versus individual, community cooperation versus individual goals. So you know this kind of tensions, and theater pedagogy is a chance, as I see, to change the point of views on these topics. If I know well, tomorrow you will talk about DICE research, or just know some information from it, and maybe most of you heard about this research. But for me it's really important to tell this research is one of the most important topic in our society today, because we talk a lot about the economical crisis, but we don't talk too much about the democratical crisis. And I think it's based on economical crisis, as I think. So, and DICE proved there is a method what we can use in the different states, in the different schools, and in other fields to lift this kind of how to say, the democratical sensation of the people, the citizens. So and what I think what we have to do in Europe, what is really important to achieve in the case of the youth, so to give a chance for them, to give a tools for them, to cooperate to each other more in the states, the different states, and among the states as well, to cooperate, to build networks, and to somehow to evaluate the reconciliation of the people. It's really important question how we can take responsibility, how we can show our problems, how we can talk about our problems, and the political innovation. What is really important, maybe not just in East European countries, but some of East European countries, the new members of the European Union, is some really important question in the political question, how we can lift and how we can go together further in the continent. Because in the continent, a lot of questions. Of course, I don't want to talk about them, because you know, you read all the time in the newspapers, you meet in your fields, in your schools, in your theaters, and the different places all the time, just to talk about these questions. We don't know what is the best solution. Everybody has own statements, but the question is how we can share these kind of statements and how we can avoid something what can happen. And if the tension is too big, if the escalating conflicts, it's too much. So it's the question, and because of this I think the theater pedagogy can be one really important democratical protocol or method. So it was what I wanted to talk about, how I think of this. And just last 3 minutes, I like to talk about the country where I come from, because there is a question, real big question, political question, is how the people feel, the human, the individuals, the citizens feel they are the involved person in the community, how they use the policy, how they can build the society. So Hungary, the theatre pedagogy or difference in theatre and education and drama pedagogy exist. So a lot of independent individuals, teachers, theatre try to work on it on a very high level. But the state, the government support these things, not so much. There is something in the state, the official education from this method, but it's not so deep, not so important. It is not the main topic when we talk about education. It's much more important now in the educational system in Hungary, the new educational system, to talk about the ethical question. What is a really interesting thing, what we think about the ethical questions. But for me, and I think for the citizens, it's much more important question to talk about the practical aspect, how we can use democracy, how we can communicate to each other, how we can ask the other person, not talk about the ethical aspect, how we have to behave, what is very complicated and problematic question. So now, because of this, it's a lot of questions in Hungary, like what do Hungarian citizens think about democracy? Maybe not so much. And about the role of the politics, not so much. About solidarity, not so much. Or tolerance, a lot of questions. So it's like now, it was a Pride event, you know, this kind of event is the LGBTQ people event. And it was a real big problem because the government, it was not just a question of the supporting, but the organizers of this event called some people from the government to representative the government in this event, and nobody came from the government to this event. All of the opposite parties were there, but the government didn't want to do it because LGBTQ people is so problematic in this ethical statement of the government, because they are not heterosexual and they are not Christian. They can be Christian, but not so. Okay, so some other question. At what stage is Roma integration now? It's very, very, very complicated. And it's a big problem because when Joachim Gauck, the president of the Germany, is so he gave a real important award to the ministry, the minister Zoltán Balogh, for this integration. So what he did for the integration of Roma people. So I think it was a very big mistake of Joachim Gauck, because he didn't understand the real movement and the real situation in Hungary now in the case of the Roma people. Social innovation. What's happening in the social innovation? There is not so much social innovation, more and more segregation, more and more discrimination, and not so much new idea for the social innovation. Just do the Hungarians speak any languages, because it is the topic now. The languages, it's very complicated to communicate to the other people if you don't use other languages. Do the